8 of 4 calling my husband out on this, without fail every time my 29F husband, 37 meters, wakes up in the middle of the night. He wakes me fully up to ask me what time it is. Both of us sleep with our cell phones charging next to our beds. So, it's just as easy for him to reach out and check the time on his own phone as it is for him to wake me up and ask me. My husband says I'm being because I'm making a big deal out of nothing. I say, waking me up for something meaningless that he can do for himself with less effort than he expends asking me shows a complete disregard for me and is really selfish of him. Now, I know you're going to say that I'm making a huge deal out of nothing. But, it's not like this is a sometimes thing. He does it often, several times a week. And when he does it, it always takes me forever to fall back to sleep. We both work full-time jobs and have an infant. I do 100% of the nighttime baby duties because my husband commutes farther than I do. So, he says it just makes sense for me to let him sleep since he has to be out the door before I do in the mornings. I need to be clear, I'm not complaining if he wakes me up due to the baby needing me. I wake up to his cries. I don't think my husband even hears it. My complaint is strictly that he wakes me up to ask me what time it is. I feel like he's being really selfish. Sometimes, I just want to sleep too. Anyway, 8 for complaining and telling my husband to cut it out? Or, is he being needlessly insensitive to my needs? NTA, but just stop responding and let him think you're asleep or just tell him to look at the phone. If you keep telling him the time when he wakes you up, even if you've asked him not to, he doesn't have to change his behavior. I have started saying, well, what does your phone say? And then he moves to the couch because of my attitude. Win-win for both of us. NTA, WTF is wrong with your husband? You are completely correct. This is inconsiderate and selfish of your husband to wake you up to ask the time. And it is poor parenting and marital behavior to dump all the nighttime parenting on you. Is he this selfish in other aspects of your lives? Sleep is vital to mental and physical health. He is actively sabotaging your health, opus, and for an incredibly stupid, unnecessary, and utterly selfish reason. This is absolutely unacceptable. NTA. NTA. He is being unreasonable and lacks common sense. It's not that hard to check the phone by himself to see what time it is, instead of disturbing others for no reason. Exactly. Your husband is a huge ass. Please explain to me why, if you both work full time, you take care of the baby all night, every night. I was a SAHM with my baby, and I was on night feeding schedule and my husband was in charge of diaper changes. Do you really think your husband would be in charge of nighttime baby duties if your commute was longer? Let me answer for you. No. Wake him up every time the baby cries and ask if the baby is crying. Let's see how he likes it. I do 100% of the nighttime baby duties because my husband commutes farther than I do. So, he says it just makes sense for me to let him sleep since he has to be out the door before I do in the mornings. His reasoning is seriously flawed. You both are parents, and he needs to take equal part in it. NTA. Even without his selfish reasons for not doing nighttime parenting. Yeah. If this was the deal, I would be looking for a job further from my house. Lol. He can help with the baby overnight. That's parenting. NTA. Next time he asks what time it is, just say, time for you to take care of the baby and turn over. Or when the baby is unsettled, wake him up and ask, is that the baby crying? That might be my pettiness though. NTA. Let me stress this. He is the a-hole in this situation. There is zero reason for him to wake you up to ask you to check your phone to see what time it is. If he refuses to stop, get an old school digital alarm clock. If he gripes about the light, tell him if he'd just roll over and check his own damn phone, the alarm clock wouldn't be necessary. Alternatively, you can turn on the flashlight on your phone and shine it in his face when he wakes you up to ask you what time it is. Oh, I like the flashlight idea a lot. And to wake him up every time the baby wakes up, also to ask the time. Just wake him up all the time too. Fair's fair. Is he incapable of reading a clock independently? If not, this is controlling behavior. You've asked him to stop for a plethora of valid reasons, and he continues to selfishly do so. NTA. Next time the baby wakes up, please ensure to wake him up too to ascertain the time. It takes two after all. I've decided to track feeding times. Can you write it down on the notepad next to your bed, please? NTA. Honey, you are not making a big enough deal about this. The very first time my husband did this, I would be straight on asking him what the F*** is wrong with him, or his eyes, that he can't find the goddamn time his own self. It would only escalate from there. How the hell does he begin to justify this behavior? Yeah, that was the one of the biggest things that popped out to me. The fact she thinks this shouldn't be a huge deal, and downplays the issue throughout the post, screamed to me that her husband frequently gaslights her into thinking maybe she shouldn't complain about things she should. NTA op. I hope I'm just speculating and this isn't a frequent thing. Absolutely NTA. If my partner woke me up every night to ask me what time it was, I'd flip the F out on him. He's a grown adult. He can check his own phone for the time. I'd personally take the passive aggressive route and get one of those large face digital clocks that takes up half the nightstand and plop it down on his side. I don't recommend actually doing that. I'm just super petty about BS like this. I've done it. We both have them for this reason. He claims he forgets to check it. Now, I know you're going to say that I'm making a huge deal out of nothing. Literally no one except your horrible husband would think this for a second. You deserve better. Get madder. Get madder, then get out. NTA. Also, unless his commute is 4 hours each way, he needs to get his in gear and help with the baby. Nah, not that far. He travels about 45 minutes and has to be in at 7. I travel about 2 minutes and start at 8. I'm also able to bring our son with me. Now, I know you're going to say that I'm making a huge deal out of nothing. Narrator voice. She was not, in fact, making a huge deal out of nothing. NTA. You only signed up to settle one infant in the night, not two. He's being unreasonable. Sleep is necessary to function. Your sleep is already disturbed as you're doing all the baby night duties. The last thing you need is a selfish excuse for a partner robbing you of any sleep you do manage to get. Also, he should be doing 50% of the night duties. You both work full time and you are both parents. He needs to pull his weight, not add to yours. I heard Sigourney Weaver's voice narrating. NTA. And he is a massive R. Waking someone up is not a small thing, as it messes with your sleep cycles. That's your baby's job, not your childish husband's. I have a clock that projects the time on the ceiling over our bed. Sounds like a gimmick, but my partner and I both love it. If we wake up, the time is right there, and we can roll over and go back to sleep with minimal bother. Can you believe she gave him a clock like that, and he complained she was being passive aggressive and the clock disappeared? The audacity of this mf'er. NTA. Is he doing this to intentionally sabotage your sleep? Please do not let him gaslight you. This is very controlling and manipulative behavior. You need to address this in therapy. I would absolutely sleep in a different bedroom if I were you. Completely unacceptable. A good partner would want their significant other to get plenty of sleep, especially with an infant. NTA. Oh my fucking god. If my husband did this more than twice, I would literally have put a lock on our bedroom door and forced him to sleep on the couch. You are not making a big enough deal about this, hun. Your sleep is precious, and you should be ready to die on this hill. Your husband is being an absolute knob. NTA. I think you are dramatically underplaying how important this is, and it sounds like he is gaslighting you into think it's okay for him to do that. Getting a good night's sleep is absolutely crucial. Waking you up to ask the time is straight up insane. There must be more to it. He is not telling you. Otherwise this is abuse. You deserve to sleep. Pop. 6. Squish. Cicero. What time is it? Edit to add NTA. He had it coming. NTA. This is super weird. Husband needs to check his own phone. I'd honestly kick my husband out of my bedroom for this shit. I would wake him up and ask the time every time I had to get up with the baby and every time I got back to bed. This is absolutely ridiculous of him. Who the heck is so mind-bogglingly lazy as to not be able to look at the time on his own phone? Not to mention refusing to participate in overnight childcare. I'm sorry, but I don't care about his commute. It's maybe an excuse to do less of the night work. It is absolutely not a reason to do none of it whatsoever. You've got a husband willing to lean on you for everything, big and small, rather than do his own work. If you aren't ready to leave the marriage over this, for which I honestly would not blame you, then I strongly recommend marriage counseling. He needs an outside party whom he has some chance of possibly believing, to tell him that he is behaving very badly. A good marriage counselor won't say that in so many words, but they'll make sure that the message gets across. Obligatory: don't go to counseling with a person showing abusive tendencies. Do get individual therapy. I could be wrong, but I'm wondering if this started when the baby was born and needed your attention, and maybe he's angry or jealous about it, and so this is how he gets back at you / asserts his control. No matter when this started, I want to be clear, this is abusive. Sleep deprivation is abusive and dangerous. And being a whiny baby when you don't give in to his bullshit is also abusive. You deserve far better than this, but you likely won't find it with him. NTA. He's always done it. I've asked him to quit periodically, but since baby I've been really struggling with trying to keep my cool about it. NTA. That is the dumbest reason to wake another person. NTA: buy a digital clock and put it within eyeshot of the bed. Problem solved. I can't believe he wakes you up for that. I've done this a few times. He still wakes me. He claims he forgets the clocks are there. But even when they aren't, I don't see why waking me is any easier than checking his phone. NTA. Try doing it back to him. Lol, depending on how I feel, when I fall asleep, I feel like I'd only have two responses to being woken up like this: immediately kick him off the bed, or tell him it's time to become a true crime podcast case.